So today we launched the Africa Youth Jobs Clock, one of the big defining topics of actually the world. We have a very interesting time because Africa is actually powering the youth in the world. Everywhere else in the world, the number of young people, young adults is going down. In Africa is still going up, and we have the highest number ever in growth this year, which in Africa and Kenya you might feel is a big challenge. It's a big opportunity because these young people are much more educated. They increasingly have, I would say, okay job. I know most still are hustling, but the more they're digital, the more they're globally connected, the better for Kenya and for the rest of the world. So to ride this demographic dividend, there is now an opportunity. Maybe two more key insights and numbers. Kenya this year in September, around September 20, will have 20 million young people. Again, the young people is defined age 15 to 35. So that's the largest ever. As mentioned, they're the best educated ever, and they're most likely to work in the service sector. And 12 million of them have some type of work. I don't call it jobs now, but they have some type of work, and that's a relatively high number. The key question is not how to get the number up of those who have work, but to convert those who have work into jobs and to good, dignified and fulfilling jobs. And that's one of the biggest challenge for Kenya and for the rest of Africa. Well, it may feel high, but it's lower than it has been. And the issue indeed is not just unemployment, but underemployment and people not having a good job or a dignified and fulfilling job. Well, one thing we didn't talk much about, but a key aspect is price of internet. Don't ask your government to do something for me, or maybe ask them one thing. Bring the internet prices down, create competition. If you have lower internet costs, then you get more people in digital services, you get more influencers, you get more of those new jobs because they need low cost and access of internet, of electricity, of infrastructure, which by the way Kenya made quite good progress. But then reinforce and strengthen the skills engines. Kenya has a good skills engine, it could still become even better, but there is enough skilled workers now that could be absorbed. But also don't expect, as I mentioned, have government do all for you. Government should create the conditions that you create a job. Young people should be entrepreneurs, and they are because they're hustling. The Africa Youth Employment Clock is the first data model of its kind that is special in a number of ways. One is it has all the numbers, it has all the countries, and for Kenya it has all the counties, and has all the types of jobs, and it has the ages, and has it always adds up. And the key second part is it's now casted and forecasted. So it's not data, it's not an academic paper or a nice report. It tells you what will happen likely next year. And that's much more useful for journalists and for policymakers and the community at large. And then thirdly is in a very nice interactive dashboard, so you don't have to be a data scientist to look at it. You can just be a journalist or a policymaker, anybody. You can click through, you can check. I'm interested now in Nakuru County. You go to Nakuru County, you see the numbers. The first key priority, as you highlight, is to get the data right, because if you get data right, you have the right, you can put emphasis to the right priorities. One surprise today for some was that construction is actually the fastest growing sector in Kenya for jobs for young people, and then comes ICT and retail, wholesale and other service sectors. But then one key thing is don't always think the government does not create any jobs, except a few for government and except teachers. The key is you create conditions so young people can become entrepreneurs and create their own jobs. Young people don't just need jobs, they can create jobs. How do you do this? I can give you a long list, and some things have happened, like electricity is much better than it was 10 years ago, roads are much better, internet is much better. It speaks to Kenyans that they're well skilled and can go abroad, and brain drain can be brain gain. Because people may come back, or at least they send money back. And maybe you're also attracting others, because Kenya becomes a hub, maybe then Tanzanians and Ugandans start to work here, and I know some of them. So think of the job market of a dynamic part. Don't think of a fixed cake, that if somebody leaves and you fight for this piece of cake. The key is that those who left come back at some point, because if they go elsewhere, they learn. At least they learn for life. I learned a lot. I lived most of my life outside my home country, and with that skill, I now can bring it back to my home country, and that's the key. But how to have people come back? You need to create a vibrant, dynamic, and very pleasant place to live, and Kenya is on the right way.